Hi, good afternoon, friends. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be starting in 2 minutes, sharp at 3 p.m. Hi, friends. A lot of you are joining the room. We'll be starting sharp at 3 p.m. Please bear with us till then. Thank you. Hi, friends. Thank you all for joining us today. A lot of you have already come into the room. Please bear with us. We'll be starting sharp at 3 p.m. So in another minute, we'll be starting. Hi, friends. I can see a lot of you are already here. We'll be starting in another minute, 3 p.m. Sharp. Thank you for joining us today. Please bear with us for another few seconds. Good afternoon, friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's so good to see so many of you here with us. Today, we are here with Switzerland Tourism to discuss visas for Indian nationals. I am sure that all of you have a lot of questions around the visas. So please feel free to ask your questions in the chats tab on your screens. And towards the second half of this webinar, we will be taking some audience questions. Also, this is a part series webinar, so please stay in touch with us, and each week we have a webinar from Switzerland Tourism for you. We will be sharing more information. An attendee who attends the full series stands a chance to win a trip to Switzerland. So today my name is Devika, and today with me I have Amya Kamath, the Business Development Manager, Leisure for Switzerland Tourism, and Mr. Beat Valkele, the First Secretary and Head of Visa Section from Switzerland Tourism. Hi, gentlemen. Can I please request you to switch on your cameras now?
Hi, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Amya, over to you to take us through the day today.
Thanks, Devika. As you know, I'm Amir Kamath. I am the Business Development Manager, Leisure Travel at Switzerland Tourism. And I welcome you all to the first webinar of our 2021 webinar series. So over the last few months, we've got a little bit of good news where Switzerland has eased travel restrictions for fully vaccinated Indian travelers with Covishield. So therefore, we felt it was a great opportunity to resume our webinar series and take you through different tourism offerings and products from Switzerland so that you can sell it to your clients. And Switzerland is looking forward to welcoming back Indian travelers once again. Now, we thought it would make a lot of sense, and it is a great time to also bring on board our colleagues at the visa section in the Embassy of Switzerland to come and update you about the travel procedures and all visa-related issues so that you are clear when booking your trips for your clients as well. So we have on board today Mr. Beat Valkele, who is the head of the visa section, who will be taking you through the presentation about the visas and all the processes that are involved. Just before we get into the presentation, a little bit of a nice video for you, just to get the mood flowing. Devika, if you don't mind.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Hey, Roger, how are you?
I'm just relaxing in the Swiss Alps. Take a look.
Yeah, it's good for you. Listen, about the Switzerland film you want me to do?
Yeah, did you see the boot film I sent you?
I'm watching it as we speak. I don't like it.
What?
Just look at where you are, Roger. I mean, you got your mountains, your skiing resorts, your charming little towns, your green valleys. There's no drama. No drama at all.
Seriously? But did you see the bits with the sunset?
Roger, from a certain type of actor, I need an edge, conflict, jeopardy. Switzerland is just too perfect.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You guys are too nice. You should have said, fuck you.
Okay, listen. How about the two of us on this special mission? We ski down the slope.
What, skiing down a slope together?
We go even skydiving.
Come on.
Then we land on these fields and the cows are grassing.
Roger, I have to be honest with you. It's not happening.
Ah.
Sorry, Roger. Maybe call Hanks.
Who?
I, for one, am missing Switzerland a lot, and I look forward to visiting as well. But I mean, I'm sure this has kind of created more interest for for your clients as well. We have that was a first video with our new brand ambassador, tennis superstar Roger Federer. I'm sure you all know him very well. So just before we get into the presentation, a few things for you to know. If you're looking for more information about Switzerland and our various tourism products, please do log on to our website, www.myswitzerland.com. That is www.myswitzerland.com. We recently launched our LinkedIn page where we put up all the updates about various products, various touristic offerings, including details about our various events and activities. So please do follow us on LinkedIn to get all the latest updates from Switzerland Tourism India. We have our brand new e-learning program, Switzerland Travel Academy, with now a market-specific module. So now we have a Switzerland Travel Academy launched specifically for the India market. So you can learn about Switzerland, get information about the must-knows for the travel trade in India, and become a certified Switzerland travel expert. So you can you can log into myswitzerland.com/Swiss Travel Academy and register and become a certified Switzerland travel expert. We also do upload our webinars after they are done onto our website, so you can view our webinar recordings as well on myswitzerland.com/ST India webinars. So next week we will upload the recording of this webinar. So if in case you have missed it, or you have colleagues, teammates who would like to have a refresher or go through the content of this webinar, they can view it on our website as well. And in case you need to reach out to your Switzerland tourism team in India, please do not hesitate to contact us. As you know, I look after all the leisure travel related activities for the travel trade. You can reach out to me for that. In case there are queries about the Swiss travel system and its various products and services, you can reach out to my colleague, Ms. Leandra D'Souza. And in case there are queries relating to MICE and weddings for Indian travelers to Switzerland, please do reach out to my colleague, Ms. Aishwarya Guhagarkar, who heads MICE for India. Or for general information and queries, please do write to us at india.trade@switzerland.com. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to hand over the presentation to my colleague, Mr. Beat Walkley, and he will take you through the visa processes.
Thank you, Ameya. Dear colleagues, dear friends of Switzerland, it gives me a great pleasure to have the opportunity to be part of the webinar series 2021, organized by Switzerland Tourism. I really missed you, I must say so, because we used to have the gathering every year, at least once, if not twice, and it has been quite some time without seeing you. We all have been going through a very difficult time, not only professionally, but I also believe private life has been upset and a lot of changes, a different way of living became the normal for us. Just looking back to the past, the last visa, the non-essential last visa we issued on March 19, 2020. That has been really now a long time. So we were all excited here at the visa section at the Swiss Embassy in Delhi when the Federal Council on the June 26 decided to open up the borders and to allow non-essential travel again to Switzerland. So the start, I honestly must say, had some challenges for us. We all got a bit rusty. In the meantime, we lost the automatisms which we had internally. We lost a lot of colleagues, lost because they were transferred or we had to let them go. The contracts, the temporary contracts which they had ended, etc. So even the ink in our printers dried out in the meantime. So you can imagine we had quite some challenges here. Just a few small examples. As always, we do appreciate your cooperation over the last many years with the Embassy of Switzerland in Delhi. And for us, it is always a very important event together with Switzerland Tourism to have you, to talk to you, to see you, to organize in every possible way, just to make sure that we are all at the same page. I think that is fundamental. If you want to work together in a smooth manner, it's good for you to listen what we have to say in order to prepare the documents for your clients, etc. We do also understand that the current travel restrictions to the pandemic raises many questions about whether and how to travel to Switzerland is possible. I have prepared a couple of slides which I would like to go through with you together and to explain. It's a kind of a potpourri of questions which came all the way in the last couple of weeks and months. So I thought they were very good questions, very valuable questions. I'll bring them together and I reflect that here a little bit in order to help you to serve better with information, your clients, etc. So, and keep, as Ameya already told at the beginning, keep your questions for the end, or you may tape them in. A lot of things I will come through with you on the next slides. Right, these are a couple of topics, just a brief introduction to what we are going to see with me. Now we'll work through the welcome, which we passed, the situation at the Swiss Embassy. I would like to give you also a little bit of an inside view from our side. What are the challenges, as I mentioned before, besides the dried out ink in the visa printers? Then, of course, the very important point, entry to Switzerland, which is of everybody's interest right now. COVID-19, the vaccination requirements in place right now. Transiting Switzerland is a main topic among all the mails we get every day. I can assure you we had between 150 and 350 mails in the past per day, in the past weeks and months, to all these different situations everybody was facing, etc. So I will also give you a kind of an update what is possible to do at the airport in Zurich for that. VFS is always a topic. I also like to give you there a little bit insight, and as I mentioned already, visa queries at the end. The situation at the Embassy of Switzerland in Delhi, at the beginning of the crisis, our foreign minister gave us, to the ambassador, two main mandates. It was very important to keep this embassy running and working. And while we were working, also reduced to keep the staff and the families as safe as possible in this pandemic. So we had to take, accordingly, a couple of measures. We had to scale down all the professional activities in and outside of the embassy. We were not accepting professional nor private invitations anymore. Kind of lived in a bubble. We cut down the appointment slots for the visas at the embassy to a minimum, because even when we now start to issue the non-essential visa, previous to that 26th of June, we were issuing long-term visas. So we were always working a little bit, although really reduced to 3 people. Besides that, we split up the team into 2. We had the red and the blue team. So it was also trying to avoid any circumstances if somebody would get affected that does not come to the other team or the rest of the team. We had a lot of hours working from home. Fortunately, there are some things you can do, replying to emails, phone calls, whatsoever. This is easily done at home, but of course not the issuance of the visa here, where we need physically the passports and so on. Still wearing masks, washing hands, social distancing, regular testing, quarantine. You are all familiar with that. That's nothing new to you, but it's also the embassy which had to take precautions and really trying to stay afloat and survive, kind of. These existing COVID migration measures will remain in place still until further notice. We don't know when, if a third wave is coming and what is going to happen, etc. So this is just a little bit of insight information for you to share. Right, now the very, very important part, I think, for all of you, visa entry to Switzerland, the C-type visa, then for non-essential traveling. The Embassy of Switzerland in New Delhi is currently accepting all visa categories for persons arriving from third countries like India. When we talk third countries, this means it's not Europe, Schengen. So that is to clarify a little bit what means a third country. So US is a third country, Singapore, Australia, anything which is not Europe becomes a third country for us, technically. So we allow those who can prove that they have been fully vaccinated. The visa process as such has not changed. And you can follow up the latest news and requirements on our website. As in the past, we try to be there on top of happenings. You will really get all the information necessary for you, except of course some specific ones. Very important, and many questions come to us as well. The vaccine certificate is not required when applying for a visa. This is, I think, a very important point for you to know. You can apply for your clients to apply for the visa. You don't have to share the certificate, anything. It is just important that then when you want to board the plane that you have it at hand. Also, a very important change which happened already since we restarted the visa process. All minors who are not vaccinated or have recovered from COVID are no longer subject to quarantine. They have to provide a negative COVID test on arrival. At the very beginning, that was a little bit of a catch, let's say, not really a nice one, especially for families who wanted to go on a holiday to Switzerland with their children. Children were minors and they had to go for 10 days into the quarantine, while the parents, if they had been fully vaccinated, they could just stroll around and have a good time. So this has been now changed, and all the families can now travel together and do not have to go into quarantine. I think that is a very positive sign and a very positive, important point for you to transmit to your client when you have them in your agencies. When we talk minors to enter Switzerland, the age there is 16 years. So what is considered a minor? Not vaccinated, 16 and younger. Said that, you have to be careful that you check with the airlines, because an airline to take a passenger on board may require or request your client already to show a PCR test for a 2-year-old, 3-year or 4-year-old, I don't know. So this is entirely now you, depending on the airline, you are booking your clients that you make sure that they do need, or what do they need. I can talk here only for Switzerland, entering Switzerland, and that's what I am focusing on. Coming to that PCR test, that's became a bit of a standard. Arriving people must show that negative test no older than 72 hours before boarding the plane. They have, and if you are flying to Switzerland through another country, Frankfurt, Paris, Amsterdam, whatever, you can get a flight on. You still have to register on swissplf.admin.ch. You have to register the entry form. It's a straightforward form, super simple. It looks a little bit like that. I don't know if you can see that. You can just click whether you arrive by plane, boat, car, train, ship, whatever is there available to click on. They just need a couple of information on the person as such and where they will be staying. So it's super easy, no issue, but you have to do it before you arrive in Switzerland. This, I think, are the basic things you must know when you are now getting people to book for their holiday or business trip or whatsoever visits to Switzerland. Big question always arises as well, the replacement visa. As you all know, maybe as well, you remember at the very beginning when the crisis started, the Swiss government had given the option to issue a new visa on the base of the one which has been issued and could not be used. That was last year. In the meantime, also the rules there has changed. The rule has changed and it is actually streamlined with all the other Schengen countries. So the holders of an expired Schengen visa who could not use the visa due to the corona travel restriction last year cannot receive a free substitute visa. This is also always a question which is arising, and please take note of that. It is not possible to get from us a free visa for that. COVID-19 vaccination requirement. Now, of course, you have some clients which are not vaccinated or they don't have the right vaccination. I will come in the next slide to the ones which are approved by Switzerland. If we have, or if you have, I must rather say, somebody who does not have the vaccination and needs to go on an urgent purpose for an urgent purpose to Switzerland, it is possible. But I give you a couple of examples, and these are really a very few. What goes under an exemption? It's a medical emergency. Somebody has to go to a follow-up operation or something else. This is maybe an exemption. You can ask us if it is possible to travel. A death in the family. As you know, the diaspora, the Indian diaspora in Switzerland, and the workforce is quite strong. Accidents happen. People also pass away whatsoever. So if somebody needs to go under such circumstances to Switzerland and is not vaccinated, we will issue a special, we call it the laissez-passer, besides the visa which the person has to have, and you could also travel to Switzerland. And then, of course, you all know Switzerland is very famous. Geneva International, I refer to international organizations. There are so many in Switzerland and Geneva. They have also restarted to gather, to have meetings, etc. So if you have a client who needs to go to an international organization, to a convention whatsoever, you can write to us, and we double check and make sure that in case of emergency, under the exemption rules, the person can travel to Switzerland. However, if there is no exemption, no hardship, as we call it as well, is the entry for non-essential purposes for non-vaccinated persons remain prohibited. I see and I understand here in India we have 2, even 3 type of vaccinations product available. Unfortunately, only one for the time being is accepted by Switzerland. For other information, very important information for you to keep you update, you can go to the Federal Office of Public Health website and you find out everything you need to know for a person who wants to travel to Switzerland. Very important. Right. Now we come to the type of products, vaccines, which are recognized by Switzerland. And I want to stress here the importance. I am again talking about Switzerland. What another Schengen country is accepting or requiring, the Swiss Embassy visa section, cannot answer. If you want your client to travel first to Switzerland, it's all good, but then you want to continue to Italy, Spain, wherever, you check with that respective embassy if the vaccination is accepted for your clients to enter Switzerland. I really want to make, and I repeat myself here because it is very important. If you have somebody coming with a Covishield for Switzerland, that's all great. But for other countries, we cannot tell you if it is accepted or not. So these are the most famous one. I believe Covaxin is in the somehow of a third phase of being accepted by the WHO as well. Then here in India, I understand, I read out of the press, we have Sputnik, which is also available, but Sputnik is also not accepted by Switzerland to enter stress-free, let's put it that way. So this gives you quite a nice overview. As I mentioned, Covishield, what we have, the majority, I think, here in India, this is good. Green light for traveling to Switzerland. Transiting Switzerland. A lot of people which are flying now to Switzerland are looking for options. For the moment, there is no direct flights between India and Switzerland, so transit to other countries might be restricted. So also again there, please check with the authorities of the concerned countries or with the airlines. For some time we had the issue with the Lufthansa. They would not allow people on transit to Switzerland to take their planes. This has been now revised, so you can again book your clients on Lufthansa besides Air France and KLM. We have still options with the Emirates, with the Ukraine, UK, Russia, and Turkey. I don't know there is so much information out there, I cannot confirm if your clients can take one of these planes and fly through those countries, transit to Switzerland. So please, when you book for someone, when you book a ticket or whatsoever, make sure it is possible for your clients that they can really then get to Switzerland transiting. We all hope that Swiss, and I know there are negotiations going on between the Indian and the Swiss government. Of course, Swiss would like to fly again to India. For us, a very important market. I understand, but again, the bubble is still in place, imposed by the Indian government. We will see when Swiss will be allowed to come here again and bring your clients directly to Switzerland, which would be, of course, so much more convenient. Then we have a ton of questions as well, traveling from Switzerland to another Schengen state. I did mention that already a little bit before. Visiting other Schengen countries internally from Switzerland also might be restricted. Please check with the authorities of the concerned countries. I know we get lots of emails, people, they have D-visa for the Czech Republic, Hungary, Lithuania, the Baltic countries, etc. They all kind of want to fly first to Switzerland because it's the option. They have a valid visa, but can I now go on to these countries? This, you really have to make sure that your clients can transit through Switzerland to another Schengen state. The visa should be all valid. There is no question about that. But please check it out. Very important for you. I know it becomes rather complicated to see all these different countries, etc. What are their rules in place, etc. And it is so dynamic. It's changing sometimes weekly. You have suddenly again a rise in COVID cases, positive whatsoever. Everybody on alert, etc. So really make sure you check where your client want to go, if it is possible whatsoever. Now, talking about transiting. The many questions also which come to us here at the Swiss Embassy. What are the testing possibilities at Airport Zurich? There is a possibility for testing in the lounge airside. That means your client who is transiting Switzerland, talking here mainly flights to also to Canada, US, well, Latin America, whatsoever, they could do a test without leaving the transit zone, meaning they don't need a transit visa or a Schengen visa just to get tested. I think that is very important for you to know, that your clients could get the test done at the airport. When we are talking about testing possibilities at the airport in Zurich, don't forget your client, which you are sending to Switzerland for whatever purpose, they have to come back to India. And in order to come back to India, they have to have a PCR test, again, which is no older than 72 hours, if I'm not mistaken. So the option you have also at the airport before the check-in. And there are 3 or 4 various options. We are talking on time. You get a test in 15 minutes done. It costs you a fortune, and you can get the normal test done, which takes about 4 to 5 hours. Sorry, 4 to 5 hours, which will cost you a little bit less. But don't forget about that fact. They have to come back. They have to present a PCR test as well. But it is all possible to at the airport in Zurich. Now, of course, as I mentioned initially, we had to cut down on our output. The staff is split in teams. We are not a full team yet. People were transferred and not replaced, etc. Also, our external provider, VFS, was closed for a very, very long time, and now they came back into business with us. Unfortunately, not only with us. I know now a couple of our Schengen partners have also restarted the visa process through VFS. France, probably the most prominent besides Germany, a couple of Scandinavian countries. So we are coming back there. But I would like to explain a little bit the situation, the Swiss government, the contract the Swiss government has with our outsourcing partners. The outsourcing partner is elected in a worldwide public tender. And then that contract, which the Swiss government is doing, it's not the Swiss embassy in Delhi, it's the Swiss government in Switzerland who makes these contracts. They last for a couple of years, and then there is a new tender. So it is Switzerland who decides. Switzerland is right now working with two partners. The government split the world up in two divisions worldwide. And so in two, VFS is our partner, and in a third part of the world, it is TLS. So I think I would really like to make that clear once to all of you as well. It is not the Swiss embassy who decides with whom to work together here. And it's not that we can change tomorrow or etc., as some of you sometimes wish, because you don't get what you want, what you think you should have or whatsoever. When I'm talking about that, it is also clear that the Swiss government is setting the price for the service. This you have to understand. And this, to setting the price, we are also looking at our partners, at the Schengen countries. So we cannot compare with what the Emirates or Japan or Addis Ababa, Ethiopia is asking for their service. This, I think you should also see and understand, hopefully. And now we are in this situation, as I tried to explain to you, that we don't have the full workforce. So we had to set caps. Usually in the past, Switzerland was open. We've accepted everything. You remember the good days, I call it. 2,000, 2,300 applications we've taken in, 2,500, maybe one was our record here. Because you could just go, apply. Everybody could hand in their documents at the VFS. But now we have this situation that we are not fully staffed. VFS has restrictions. So we had to set the cap. And this is coordinated with the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs in Switzerland. Right now, the cap, I'm very transparent with you, it's 850 a week. This is what we have. And this is all non-essential visas. Besides that, we give slots, or you have the opportunity to apply for your long-term visa clients, authorizations, e-visa. Also, and this is maybe new to you to hear, if you have groups, we already have 1 or 2 MICE groups in the pipeline. This would also go besides this allotment of 850. So right now, today, I can tell you we are handling about 1,200 visas a month. This seems on one side a lot, on the other side it's peanuts to what we did before. But unfortunately we are right now there, and I kindly really ask you to understand this, and hopefully it will get better over the time. Besides that, it was also the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs who had decided to temporarily to increase the service fees. This is also important because many of you also come and say, why do they have now to increase the fee? They're putting that on top of everything. Yes, they have to. They can put that on top of the service fees, but this is in coordination with the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs in Switzerland. It will be abolished as soon as we go back to normal, let's call it. As I mentioned also, some of you, you just simply don't want to understand VFS because they don't accept your application, or you can only get a slot on the 26th of September. I'm very sorry. It's actually the embassy who sets the cap, or our ministry. So, and it is not only that we are a little bit reduced, it is also VFS who has a reduced staff. They are also facing challenges. You are all aware of the situation in India. In the south, the situation is still very delicate. So you just see, I'm not going through all these points, but you can read the problems VFS is also facing in some VACs, and besides that, we could not even open all the 12 VACs which we usually operate from. So talking about VFS, I'm almost certain that many of you, especially the bigger ones, travel agencies or so, you're facing similar problems. So there we should understand the situation right now and be happy with what we can do for the time. So this, I mentioned it, some of you are unhappy because you only get a slot in September or later. Appointments are given on a first come, first served basis. And daily slots, the embassy has limited and not VFS. We told them what they can accept and what they should do. At the moment, we are working in 7 centers, Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Bangalore, Chennai, Cochin, Hyderabad, and the good news is from September 6, we start in Pune to accept, again, applications. So we are back with 8 centers very soon. 4 are missing. So for the appointments, kindly visit VFS Global Services, make your reservations there. Don't write to the embassy. We cannot help you because it ends up again, why he and not me? It's at the end of the day, India is a village, and the word goes quickly around. The one agent tells me that, no, you write to the embassy and then you get a slot, earlier, and then we get suddenly a tsunami of emails. I also need a slot for something. Unless you have really an emergency. I was talking about the hardship cases before. So of course, you feel free to write to us and we make sure that for a hardship case, you get an immediate appointment with our partners. The processing time, you always got spoiled, I think, from us as well. Within 3, 4, 5 days, you had a passport back with the visa in there. Please allow us also a little bit more. I still put 10 to 15 days. Maybe it is only 7 or 8 days. But there are no regular services now, also the flights. And then we work with another agency, Blue Dart, or however they are called, to bring the things here, and the thing have to go back. So allow a little bit more time. We still try to really process as fast as possible your applications and make sure that everybody gets happy. A phenomenon which, of course, due to the situation that the Swiss were at some point the only ones accepting appointments and visa applications, was the visa shopping. It was very obvious that in some cases, and I think I don't have to go into details, all you from the agencies which try to get a Swiss visa for your clients just to get them a Schengen visa, that is not a cool thing to do. Because if we find out, we will not allow the agency who submits these applications to apply anymore. And also for your client, he may get refused, which I honestly tell you, we don't like to refuse people who have the intention to go. But if the intention is different to what appears, then of course, then you have to face the result. With this, I'm coming to the most important thing for you today. I think I have covered a little bit everything what came out of all the many emails or phone calls you came. And I had already a session with a couple of travel agents before, so I allowed to bring these queries which we had in the past in here to go through with you, because I am convinced that the majority of you would have the same questions. It's again, we receive 200 emails a day, and 50 out of that 300 ask the same thing. So here are a little bit some queries and the answer to it. We went through the turnaround time, it's 10 to 15 days. Can an eligible adult fully vaccinated, I'm coming back to Covishield only, travel to Switzerland on a visa issued through some other Schengen country? The answer is clearly yes. your client has a Finnish visa, a Swedish visa, whatever, if it is valid, he can travel to Switzerland if he is vaccinated with one of the vaccines accepted by Switzerland. Very important to know. But again, here I come back, make sure transit, it is possible for those people as well, not that they got stuck somewhere else. Does a person, I repeat myself a little bit, a person need to be fully vaccinated before applying for a visa, or is it a prerequisite only for travel? A person doesn't have to be fully vaccinated at the moment of applying for a visa. But keep in mind, once a person gets the second shot, there is a cooling off period of 15 days after receiving the second dose, and then the person is only fully vaccinated. Just to keep that in mind. Now, one of the most question which we get in, can a valid long-term visa issued by Switzerland or any other Schengen country earlier, 2020 and prior, be used to travel now? Yes, also there, the borders are open. Visa issued in 2018, a 5-year-old, absolutely perfect to travel right now to Switzerland. Very important. You will have a lot of questions or clients asking you this question. Now, when it gets serious, maybe can give you also, if you don't follow yourself, the situation in Switzerland. COVID-wise, we have witnessed in the last couple of days, weeks, an increase of positive cases. Right now, it's about between 2,000 and 3,000 daily. So COVID is definitely not gone and can hit anybody. Be honest, we know that. If now you have a client who unfortunately gets sick on his shore, what will happen to him? What does he have to do? I cannot give you the only answer here, but I can assure you this person, if it gets sick, will be taken care of in Switzerland. We have a couple of cantons in Switzerland, and every canton has a center which will take care or organize, at least tell you where you have to do the quarantine, where you can stay, what you have to do, which doctor to test. So this is a very important link. This is again our health ministry. You can find all the information there. It's super useful. It comes in many languages. Don't hesitate to go and look there. Now, is there any insurance which can be brought to cover quarantine costs? This again, I have to pass on the obligation to the traveler to make sure that he's well covered. If somebody gets sick in Switzerland, all I can assure you here is it's very expensive. It's definitely more expensive than here. So you, as an agent, really have to work with your client and make sure that they have the right insurance who would cover extra costs whatsoever for COVID. Then, of course, makes sense. The next question, if you have to go into a quarantine, your visa will maybe expire. So you have to make sure that you contact the cantonal office there as well to extend the visa. If you arrive at the airport in Zurich with an expired visa and you don't have a good reason to explain what happened, you will, or your client will face a fine, which is not really a nice end of a good time they had probably in Switzerland. So make sure that they get an extension in Switzerland. Would the quarantine be permitted at hotels or institutions recommended by the Swiss authorities? Again, it is the canton who would help you there, who would tell you what has to happen or what you have to do, can do for your client. Also many questions, and I like these kind of questions. I would have the same one if I travel somewhere. If I come to India, for example, if I would not live here and I just come as a tourist. What is the on-ground situation with regards to the COVID protocols? Wearing the mask. Where do I have to wear the mask? myswitzerland.com. It comes in English. Brilliant website. You find all these questions in there. Again, that's an extra service, an extra information you, agencies, you can give your client. You can assure him, you can inform him well. So he really gets the right picture from you. You sell him a good trip, you feed him with everything he needs to know. Go on to that website and you find everything which somebody can interest just going into Switzerland right now. Even when I've just recently had the chance to go to Switzerland, I wasn't sure. I was not living there. Now, can I meet my friends in the hotel, in the restaurant? Can we have a beer, whatsoever? You go there. It's all explained. Easy. Now I go up for a mountain climbing, an excursion, a daily. What should I do when I'm in the cable way? You find the answer there. Brilliant website. Right. These are the things to My Switzerland and a couple of questions you may or your client may have. Here, very obvious, I already mentioned that before when we talked about the vaccinations options at Zurich Airport or any other airport. Then, interestingly enough, some of, or many also of the agencies writing to us, they ask if there is any concern for senior citizens traveling. We do not have this difference. A traveler is a traveler, doesn't matter the age. So the same rule applies for everybody coming into Switzerland. Right. I tried to give you an overview. I give you the floor now. Actually, I give it back to Amaya for now. I thank you for attending, for your cooperation, as always with the Swiss Embassy. It's always a pleasure to work with professional agencies. I would also like to thank you for your understanding to the situation which we are all in. And I'm sure as soon as it improves, we will make sure that we somehow will also increase again the output and that we can really make the tourism, which is so important to Switzerland, which is important to all of you. You make your living out of that. And I think we have great partners, Switzerland Tourism and Switzerland as such as a country. I give the floor over to Ameya. I'm sure we have now many, many questions coming up. Thank you for the moment.
Thank you so much, Beat. Thank you, everybody, for attending the webinar. I hope we were able to assist you with all the information that you require. In case not, we are available to take your queries or on our email ID india.trade@switzerland.com, or you can write to the embassy visa section also at newdelhi.visa@eda.admin.ch. Before we get into the Q&A, I know that a lot of your clients are looking forward to visiting Switzerland, so we have one more fun video just highlighting how Switzerland, how Switzerland is looking forward to welcoming your travelers. Devika, if can you play the video, please?
When you realize you need more energy, more time together, more time for yourself. You need more than a break, more than a kick, more than a breath of fresh air, more than a change of scenery. You need real nature, wild and free, untamed but accessible. Nature that gives you energy, nature that stirs your soul, nature in a country that's uniquely varied. country where you can be carefree. A country that takes care of you. That gives you just what you need. When you need time for yourself and your loved ones. Time for your goals. Time for your dreams. You need more than a holiday. You need Switzerland.
So to the Q&A section now. I'm just going to. There's one question that came in regarding the direct flights between India and Switzerland. Just wanted to update. As India does not have a travel bubble in place between with Switzerland, Swiss International Airlines has not resumed its operations yet. It's more of a diplomatic decision, so we'll have to wait and watch. And as soon as we have an update on this, we will of course let you know. There was a question that said, can we book RT-PCR tests at the airport for transit passengers if they're traveling to any further destination which requires the same? You'll have to check with the Zurich airport on this particular issue. And do they have timing for testing at the airport? So if you do log on to myswitzerland.com, where you can get information about the COVID tests, you can log on to the website of the test providers, and they have all their timings and kind of mentioned on their website. Now, the next question is with regards to walk-in submissions by VFS. When are they going to start? Beat, I don't know if you have anything to add, but I think this would be something that you'll have to connect with VFS for on this, right? If I'm not wrong.
Absolutely correct, Amay. We still have to check the situation, and as soon as it is possible, we will probably resume again the walk-in as well. But what we would definitely do first is we would get more slots before we start the walk-in option.
Great. This next question is with regards to the quarantine period in Switzerland after arrival. So if at all quarantine is required on arrival, what is the duration of the quarantine is what they want to know.
Right now, there is no quarantine.
Okay.
So you just go out. This may change. We had it in place before, and at the time when we had it in place, it was 10 days. But now, today, as we speak, there is no quarantine required in Switzerland if you are fully vaccinated. Very important.
So unvaccinated, partly vaccinated, and those that have been vaccinated with non-WHO approved vaccines, they cannot enter Switzerland at this point of time, right? Unless it's a special circumstance.
Absolutely right. Thank you for clarifying that, Tami.
Great. So guys, I hope you guys had this kind of understood that bit. Second, there is a question. There is a little bit of misunderstandings here about the under 18 travel restrictions and rules, because what people are asking is, it's mentioned basically if you're under the age of 18 and you're traveling with fully vaccinated parents, you can enter Switzerland and you don't need to quarantine. And from the age 16 to 18, though, they have to submit a negative RT-PCR test. But under the age of 16, they don't have to submit an RT-PCR test and they don't have to quarantine. That is what the rule is, right?
That is correct, yes. But again, as I mentioned, if you board the plane, maybe the airline will require one. So that is a little bit the difference. Very important difference, though.
Yes, so it's always important to check with your airline partners on what their guidelines, SOPs are for travelers, irrespective of the age. So even if you're fully vaccinated and your airline requires all passengers to do an RT-PCR test, that is the guideline that they have put in place. So it will be required any which way, even if Switzerland does not require it. There's a very interesting question here, Beat, because you do know that Ahmedabad, Gujarat, has a strong affiliation with Switzerland and a lot of passengers flying. So is there any update on when VFS Ahmedabad is will be open for visas?
We are looking into that. We now have Pune coming up. Ahmedabad probably is one of the next ones after that. So I cannot give you the date today. But actually, we would like to open all of them. Don't get us wrong. But Ahmedabad, we have to see with VFS. For the time being, most of the clients out of the region Ahmedabad, they're going down to Bombay, if I'm not mistaken. So it will come. It will come. I cannot give you the date today.
Great. And with regards to this under 16 to 18 RT-PCR requirement, that has to be done before boarding, right? Before boarding the flight, and has to be submitted at the time of arrival, if that is correct.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So now a few procedural related questions. So there's somebody who has a client who has no travel history, but the sufficient funds and appropriately filed IT returns, who wants to travel to Switzerland, can they apply for a visa?
Absolutely. The rules have not changed. We accept every application. Once you have to be a first timer, and if all the documents, if you think they're all in order, so please apply. There is no restrictions, or at least I'm not aware of that. No, everybody is welcome to apply for the visa.
So at the time of application, you get a checklist for your visa application form. So the first step is to ensure that you follow all those criteria to the T before submitting your documents, and then they will be evaluated, and then your visa will get processed. So the checklist is very important.
Absolutely, it has to be followed strictly. That's why we have this kind of templates, instructions for any type of visa you want to apply. It's not just a piece of decoration which we have. It's really very important that you follow and that you submit all the documents as on the list mentioned and required when you apply for the visa.
The next question is basically with regards to the validity of the visa. Is the long-term visa granted, is it like a case-to-case kind of a thing? Or is there a criteria based on which a long-term visa can be granted to a traveler?
There is a criteria. This is a new rule which came into place from Brussels. It's called Cascade. So you gradually get, you should get a longer valid visa each time you apply. That is given. Now, if the other Schengen countries do follow that proposal from Brussels as well, this I can again not talk for the others. I can talk for Switzerland. And if we see somebody has been traveling frequently, and especially to Switzerland, we give the longest possible duration for a visa. But one thing you have to keep in mind as well, the first visa will always be maximum 6 months. This is again the rule from Brussels. And then secondly, and very important as well, many people, they apply for the long-term, or they mention that in their letter to the embassy, that if they could get a 3, 4, 5-year visa, the validity of the passport is so important. The visa cannot be valid longer than the validity of the passport. So your passport, for example, is valid until the end of the year. 2021, you come now and you ask for a 3-year visa. Even if you would deserve and qualify to have one, we cannot issue a 3-year visa for you. So this is very important, I think, as well to know.
Is there an online form that needs to be filled up before entering Switzerland right now, like a self-attesting thing?
There is this, you can actually go onto the website of Airport Zürich again. You find that form which you have to fill in. I did mention it briefly, I think, in my presentation. I even showed it to you. This is the entry form, if I understood your question right. So this you can fill in online. Go to Zurich Airport or to the Federal Office of Public Health, COVID, and you will get all the link to do that. It takes you, I told you, 2 minutes, if even, to fill that out. So straightforward, easy.
There was another question relating to the revised visa fees, if you could elaborate on that.
The visa fee as such has not changed. What we have added is the COVID fee for the temporary, for the situation, which is on top of the service fee, which VFS can charge. And then all the other fees, the service fees, if extra fees for the lounge, for door-to-door service, etc., it's the choice of the client if he wants to book such a service and then also pay for it, of course. But the visa fee, first place, has not changed. Only thing which the government has imposed is the extra fee for the COVID measures, which I had it in the slide also mentioned there, which VFS can put on top of it. All the other services are depending on the wish of the client.
There is now there's another question related to biometrics and the validity, and from what date or time is it calculated as to the time it's expired? How is it kind of calculated?
Okay, interesting, good question. 59 months from the time you put your hands down for the first time in when you applied for the Schengen visa. 59 months they are valid, the fingerprints.
Great. So if an applicant has a long-term visa, which you had which was granted in March 2020, and could not travel to Switzerland, so they don't have the stamp on their passport, they can still make use of it if it hasn't expired and travel to Switzerland, right?
If the visa is still valid, he can travel. I mean, that is how to say. Sometimes you have a visa and something else keeps you away from traveling, So then there are no stamps in your passport that has proven that you traveled or whatsoever. I mean, that's human, it's normal. And we would not take that into consideration when the person would come back and apply again for a visa, like, oh, he had a 3-year visa, but he did never travel, or he had a 2-year visa, he didn't travel. That is definitely not important to us when we would issue for that person a new visa.
So I have the last 2 questions now. The first one is basically, there is a traveler. He has a valid Schengen visa in his old passport. So his passport expired. He got a new passport. So with the old passport, the valid Schengen visa and the old passport, he can travel to Switzerland with that Schengen, right?
Very good question. Very difficult question to answer, in the sense of that person can travel to Switzerland. Switzerland does accept a valid Schengen visa in the old passport to enter Switzerland. But I know a couple of Schengen countries, they do not accept this visa anymore in the old passport to enter their country. So in this case, I suggest that person to apply for a new visa.
There is another question now with regards to those youngsters who are dependent on their parents, who are traveling to Switzerland on their own for a holiday. How do they go about applying for a visa? So it doesn't necessarily have to be under 18. It could be under 18, could be over 18, but they're not financially independent, but their parents are financially strong to sponsor their trip. So how do they go about, applying for a visa to Switzerland?
Same procedure. I do understand that some youngsters, they don't have the means their proper means sometimes to travel. But it is not only about the finances there, It is many of these young people, they become independent with 17, 18, 20, 22. They have been traveling before with their parents. And this is what for us is also a very important fact when we go through their documents, when they apply now suddenly for themselves. So when we see that this is a frequent traveler, been everywhere, etc., now he goes again to travel, that's good for us. But still, there has to be a minimum. They should have a minimum on their account to travel to Switzerland. And if we talk, I think I did mention that also in previous meetings with you. Switzerland is asking for 100 Swiss francs a day. You should reflect on your account, or you should have at your disposal when traveling to Switzerland. Now, Switzerland is $100. I know Germany has only, I believe, $40, and then there are other countries, they ask 150 again. Schengen, we are unified, but still all different. So when you apply for the visa, again, it's one fact important that there are finances, because we want to know if you can afford your trip to Europe. We see your history. It was always been paid. You never had a problem. And of course, once you travel without your parents, with a group of youngsters, didn't we do that all once we finished our studies or during studies even? It's normal, it's human. We take that more into account than anything else. So don't bring me the letter of property of some agriculture land in Punjab or down in Kerala whatsoever. With that, you cannot buy a coffee. I put it that way in Switzerland. No, you really have to have something on your account in order to get food and the coffee, right? I hope I could answer a little bit the question.
I think that is totally understandable. So I think we come to an end of the Q&A session, and I will move on to the last and the most fun leg of the webinar as well. So we finished the information. Now it's time to go for the Switzerland Tourism webinar quiz. Just to let you know, there are a few house rules that need to be followed. Kindly answer the questions, answer the quiz via the link that is provided to you. So DDP webinar, the team will be putting up a link on the chat box, and that is the link that takes you to the quiz. So all questions answered on that will be considered for this particular quiz. Only answers, so please do ensure that you submit all your answers by 7 p.m. today, after which the quiz will be taken off air and no answers will be taken into consideration. Only attendees from the Indian travel trade tuning into all our webinars and answering all the questions correctly will be considered for winning to be a part of the fam trip to Switzerland. So you'll have to ensure that you are from the travel trade. To ensure that you put in all your information at the time of registering for the quiz. Also, that includes your name, your company name, designation, work email ID, city of work, etc. Personal email IDs are not valid and will not be considered. And if you have any further queries or if you require any kind of information, please do write to us on india.trade@switzerland.com, and we're happy to help you. So these are the quiz questions. Log on to the link that has just been posted on the chat box and answer them. Submit your answers before 7 p.m. and stand a chance to be a part of be selected for the final prize after the completion of the entire webinar series. So the first question is, does an Indian passport holder need a transit visa flying through Switzerland to a third country? which one of the following vaccines is recognized by Switzerland? I think there were a lot of questions in the chat box relating to this. So you guys should now have this answer memorized in your head right now. How many months in advance of my planned trip can I apply for a Schengen visa? 4, your client has a valid type D visa. Can he or she travel to other Schengen countries with the same? Yeah. Question 5, how many countries are part of the Schengen Treaty? Question 6, how long can you stay in Switzerland on a tourist type C visa? Question 7, although your clients are in possession of a valid Schengen visa, can they be refused entry to Schengen by the border authorities or offloaded by the airlines? So the link has been posted on the group, on the chat. Please click on it, answer the question, and hopefully we get your answers before 7 p.m. today. I would like to thank you so much for being a part of our first webinar. I hope you have registered for the rest of the webinar series. Next week, we come to present a very special experience in Switzerland, and we talk about self-drive along the Grand Tour of Switzerland. So that is a great opportunity for you to see another product offering for your clients. I would like to thank Beat for taking time out to be a part of this webinar and taking you guys through the various procedures and visa-related information that is very much important for you to know for Switzerland at this point of time. And looking forward to tourism restarting and a lot of your clients once again entering Switzerland. Beat, if you have anything to say to our attendees.
Thank you for attending, and as I mentioned before, it's so important to work with you, and it's great. It is a pleasure to work together with you. Please keep up the good quality of applications you bring, and we have a smooth process. And stay healthy. That is actually the most important thing, and so we can continue to enjoy our work and go traveling again. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Devika and team.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
And we will see you all next week.
Yes, see you all next week. Thank you. Just to clarify one last thing, the link I have put on the chat box and in the offers page. So if you clicked on the offers link, and it's exactly the same link, so please don't worry about that. You just need to fill the form, and we are waiting for your replies. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.